Hi, my name is Rachel Schonecker. I'm an intuitive healer, and today we're going to talk about how to hold your light and stay in that feel-good place when someone around you cannot or will not. So how can you stay in a place where your heart's open and you feel good and you feel alive and you feel on fire and you're in that really high vibration place when someone you live with or you work with is in a funk, or maybe they're just being super moody or super negative or super angry? So how do you stay in that feel-good place? As we all know, we cannot change someone else. We cannot force someone to see the silver lining. We cannot force someone to be in a better mood. We cannot force someone to have faith and trust that all is well. We can't force it. And if we do try to force it, one of three things, or all of these three things, will happen. A, it won't work. It won't work. B, they will recoil, so they'll pull their energy back and away from us and resent us. And C, if we're trying to force them and pressure them and tell them how they need to be or how they should behave, then we're likely in our own egos when we're doing so. Because ego is pushing, pressuring, controlling, demanding, manipulating, whereas spirit is allowing and having faith. It is especially important right now in the world that we understand how to keep our own vibration high and that we understand how to hold our own light. We are living in a time when there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of despair and helplessness and confusion and hostility. So it is more important than ever that we know how to take care of our own energy and stay in a place of holding our light. So 5 tips. Tip number 1 is to expand your own light as big as you can. So it's easiest to do this in meditation, but it looks a little something like this. So imagining within you that there's a spark of light or a ball of light, and then breathing into that light. So inhaling into that light, exhaling from that light. And with every breath, allowing that light to grow, allowing the light to fill your torso. Breathing in, breathing out, allowing the light to fill your whole body. And yet again, inhaling to the light, exhaling from the light, and letting your light grow even bigger than you, the human. So tip number 1 is expand your light as big as you possibly can. Tip number 2 is to throw up a protective bubble of light around you, or some people will call this a protective shields of light. So imagine that you can blow out a beautiful bubble of light that goes 1 meter out at least out in front of you, and 1 meter out to either side of you, and then 1 meter out the back of you. And then setting the intention that any crap or any negativity that comes your way will just hit the sides of the bubble and just slide right off into a little puddle and not come in and affect you. So depending on your work environment or your living environment, you may need to do this a few times a day. If you're an empath and you're very sensitive, make sure you do it when you go out into public as well. Tip number 3 is to, I call this to hand back the gift of poop. So I named this with my kids years ago. When you are in the company of someone who is in the habit of hurling their crap at you, so by crap I mean their unprocessed pain, their negative self-beliefs, anything that they have stored inside of them that they're not resolving and healing. If you live or work with somebody who's constantly throwing their crap at you, you need to understand that you do not need to accept it. We get sometimes into this habit, especially if we live with the person or work with the person, where we kind of do just take it. You don't need to take this. It's not yours to hold. So, for example, if my husband is in a pissy mood, which, let's face it, we're all in that place sometimes. If he tries to throw his stuff at me, throw his junk at me, I'll quietly just go in the other room and give myself a little pep talk and be like, no. This is not my shit to hold. And I just push right back to him. So I energetically just see it going right back to him, back to the rightful owner. It's not my shit to hold. So sometimes I'll forget to do it in the moment, and likely you will as well. So it's important at the end of the day, before bed or in meditation in the evening, to give back anything you have picked up during the day. So I hand back any energies that I've picked up throughout this day. I hand it back to its rightful owners. This is not my stuff to carry, right? So that's tip number 3, is to hand back the gift of poop that others are trying to give to us. Tip number 4. Tip number 4 is a really important one. It's an amazing tool. It will help you for the rest of your life in every situation. It's a bit challenging to get the hang of at first, but once you do, it's very, very powerful. And it is to see in the other individual the hurt, pains, scared, confused child within them. So the truth is, unless an individual has done his healing work, the majority of the time we're going to react to life, react to stress from the hurt, scared child within us. So when we can see if there's someone in our environment who is being aggressive or critical or rude or just helpless, or they're in this funk, if you can see the little boy in him who's feeling confused and scared, or the little girl who's feeling overwhelmed, or whatever it is, and you can open your heart with compassion to them, then you can hold them in a whole different way, right? You stop taking it so personal. You stop being so angry about where they're at, because you see the child in them and you open your heart with compassion. Tip number 5 is give yourself some space. So if there's someone in your life who is just in a really negative space, or they're just angry a lot, or they're just really moody a lot, give yourself some space. So it's important to take care of your own energy as well. So maybe don't pick up every time they call, or maybe don't, visit with them once a week. Or if they live in your environment or work with you, then take conscious breaks. When you go outside, go for a walk in nature, allow yourself to feel invigorated and good again. Blow out your bubble again, and then come back into their environment. Or take an inspiring book. If you live with a person, go read an inspiring book in your bedroom while you allow your counterpart to brood in the living room. So allow yourself to take some space from that person. Here's something important to let you know. So those are the 5 tips, but here's something else important to let you know. So if someone is really deeply in their darkness, let's say, if they're really deeply in their misery or in the funk, or they're just being really negative and they're really in it and they're not budging from it, because let's face it, on some level, it is a choice to stay in that place, even an unconscious choice. So if there's some cheap payoff for that person to stay in that place of negativity, then when we hold our light, when we feel good, when we are in our authenticity, it can happen that individual may drift a little further away from us. And that's okay. And the reason for that is they may not be ready for your light to shine on their stuff, on their darkness, on the stuff that they are not ready to take a look at and heal. So we need that to be okay as well, and just understanding that not everyone will want to be this close to the light. Now, on the flip side, there are also people who will be drawn into you. So people will come to you because they will feel your warmth. They will feel your authenticity. They will feel your joy, your joie de vivre. They will feel this light and they'll want to be around you. So you'll draw in other friendships, or some of your friendships will deepen. So there's a flip side to it as well. When we hold our light, so when we are in our authenticity, when we are in a high vibrational place, when we have our hearts open and we see the world through the eyes of compassion, through the eyes of our spirit, when we do our own healing work, this is the greatest gift that you can give yourself, but it also is the greatest gift that you can give humanity and the world as a whole.